Guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm actually doing a updated video about my basics of astrology video that I did over 2 years ago, because I watched it back and I really wanted to do an updated version, a more thorough version, a more in-depth version, and really just dig deeper into it and really explain it better so that you can walk away from this video really feeling like you understand astrology more and that you can use it as your own science and your own tools to be able to understand yourself better and more and just be able to see what the stars have written for you. So let's get started. So before I get started, let me just explain that astrology and the zodiac started with a zodiac wheel. Okay, so within this wheel there is 12 astrological signs. Okay, that's 10 fingers. I can't do 12. Sorry, well, 12. 12. I don't know which way it is. Whatever. 12 signs, okay? We have Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Okay, those are the 12 zodiac signs in this zodiac wheel. Okay, now each of those zodiac signs have their own element and their own I'm just going to call it nature. I forgot what the exact term is for it, but I'm just going to call it nature, okay? So, there are 4 elements. There is fire, earth, air, and water. I don't know why it took me so long to say that, but it is. There's 4 elements. There's fire, earth, air, and water, okay? And then there are 3 types, okay? There are the cardinal, there are the fixed, and there are the mutable, okay? So each of those elements represent a different kind of way about life, sort of, or a different expression of life. And the types and the natures represent a different sort of interaction with life, a different sort of way of, interaction, way of interacting, way of creating, way of living, I guess. So the fire element is all about action. It's all about passion. It's all about it's fire. So it's getting stuff done. It's moving. It's forward moving, forward action. Anything like that is fire element. Okay. Earth is very practical, very grounded, very like it's Earth, so it's very slow moving. It's not as animated as a fire sign is, but it's more grounded. It's more centered. It's more focused. Air is communication, so air rules like how we communicate. So our words. So these people are more intellectual. The air signs are more communicative. They're more thinkers. They're more of the thinkers, they're more of the talkers, they're more of the intellectual types, because they rule the mind. Then water rules the emotions. It is more of a just feelings and feeling types and just emotions, intuition, all of that stuff, that being in touch with your emotions is a water-based element. Okay, so on top of that, we have the 3 types or 3 natures of each sign. So each sign is also given 1 out of 3 types or natures. Okay, so we have the cardinal, the fixed, and the mutable. Okay, cardinal is the initiators. They are the starters. They are the ones that bring about change. Okay, so the cardinal signs are the ones that actually start the new season. So Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, they start the new series, the new seasons. Okay. Fixed is the next one. That is Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Those are the ones that sustain. They're sustained. They're more stubborn. They're more focused. Okay. And then the mutable are the changing ones. They're the ones that are between like the sustaining ones and the next cardinal ones. So they're the ones that kind of switch. So they're more what's the word? Responsive, and they're more reactive. They're more what's that word? Oh my gosh, word. Mercury in the 12th house. If you didn't know about it, Mercury in the 12th house makes it really hard to communicate sometimes. Fun fact of astrology that's you probably don't need to know. What is that word? Versatile? Yeah, versatile. Like being able to kind of do both and be what is that word? I don't know the word. It bothers me. But it is. It's like on the tip of my tongue. What is the word? Like they can adaptable. That's the word I was looking for. Adaptable. They are adaptable. Okay. So they have this like very changeable and adaptable sort of personality to them, and those mutable signs are going to be Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. Okay, so get that out of the way. Those are like the basics of astrology. Okay, and with each kind of section, we're going to get a little bit deeper. Okay, so like I said earlier, the zodiac started out with a wheel, which is 360 degrees. And if you know basic math, there are 12 zodiac signs in the zodiac, which then gives each sign 30 degrees each. So, example, if you were born when the sun was in the 30 degrees of Aries, you would be an Aries sun sign. Okay, now, something you probably don't know if you're watching this video, there are more planets than just the sun in your astrology. There is the sun, obviously, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. There are 10 planets, all impacting you astrologically. Okay, so the sun, for the example, if you were born during Aries season, which is when the sun is in Aries, you are an Aries sun sign. But you also have a moon sign, Mercury sign, so on and so forth with each planet. Okay? Now, each planet has its own form of, like, way of expressing themselves. The moon, I'm gonna go over each planet as I kind of finish this a little bit. Not at the very end, but in a little bit, I'm gonna go over each planet and what they represent. But each planet represents a different sort of energy and a different sort of factor or perspective or interpretation of your personal astrology and what represents you and what factors came into play in your life and what you chose to kind of incarnate as and kind of like be as in your life. So anywho, so that's that. So as you know, there are 12 zodiac signs, and there are 4 elements and 3 natures/types, because I forgot the word for it. So there's those, okay? And then there are 10 planets, and each planet is going to be in a different sign during your birth, okay? So you may have an Aries sun, but you have a moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, all these different planets in different signs, okay? And they all represent different things, and they all express themselves differently based off of what sign they're in, okay? So now to add that is just like the 2D layer of astrology, knowing like what planets you have in what signs. But there's this magnificent and amazing thing called houses, which add a whole nother third dimension to astrology and add this whole nother deeper element to it. where you can really dig deep into your astrology and really understand like so much more. So houses, okay? Houses are there are okay. There are also 12 houses. Okay? Difference between houses and signs. Signs are signs no there isn't a difference between houses and signs. Houses and planets. Houses are areas of life, focuses of life. Planets are the energy and the focus of an energy, if that makes sense. The houses all represent different parts of life, different focuses of life, and then the planets represent like an energy being focused in that particular sign. Okay? Now, you have all these planets in all these different signs, but you also have them all in different houses as well. Okay? So, because there are 12 signs and 12 houses, as you could probably guess, each house is ruled by a sign. The first house is ruled by the first sign, Aries. Okay? Second house is ruled by Taurus, so on and so forth. Each house is ruled by that natural sign. So, this is where it gets very interesting and very complex, and this is why every person's astrology is different and unique. So, the reason why it's important to know your birth time and your birthplace, as well as your birthday, is because that determines your ascendant or rising sign. So, what your ascendant or rising sign is essentially your first house. It's where your first house starts. And you're probably like, what? You just said the first house started with Aries. Yes, that's if we lived in a perfect world and everybody was an Aries ascendant, which is not true. And that would be a very interesting world, to say the least. What happens when you're born? There is a sign that is rising on the eastern horizon at the time of your birth. Okay? And when you're born, you have a different ascendant sign based off of what time you were born. Okay? There are lucky people that have Aries ascendants, and it just flows naturally for them. Like, I have a friend that's an Aries ascendant, and life just flows very natural for him, and his chart's very easy to read, because there's no extra layer to it, kind of. I mean, there is, but it's just very simple. It's just like, oh, okay. It just all lands really well. Anywho, too much information, oversharing. Part of my astrology. Sorry. The ascendant sign is like the third and like the most important sign for you to know in your own astrology, because it does give you, like I said, that 3D, that extra layer to your astrology where you can understand more about yourself and you can understand yourself deeper and kind of read into your chart a lot better. So when you have when you were born, like I said, you have a sign that was rising on the eastern horizon. That is your ascendant sign. So, when you have an ascendant sign, that is the ascendant sign that starts your first house. Okay, everybody has a different ascendant sign at a different degree. Okay, now, based off of your ascendant sign, the rest of your houses go in order. So, for example, for me, I have a Capricorn ascendant. Okay, so when I was born, there was Capricorn rising on the eastern horizon. So for me, instead of my chart starting with Aries in the first house, which is where it would be naturally, it starts with Capricorn. So my first house is Capricorn. So the ascendant or the rising sign, because it rules the first house, it rules how you interact, your first impression, the impression you give off, the mask you wear, the direction in life you want to go, and kind of the focus that you have for your life is your ascendant. To an extent, that's not the be-all end-all. There's much more to your astrology than just your ascendant sign. And that's something I want you to learn about astrology. There's much more than just there's much more than just an individual placement or an individual sign or whatever it is. There's so much more to your astrology, and there's so many more aspects and depths and intricacies to your astrology. But anywho, so since my ascendant starts in Capricorn, I have a very Capricorn-like outlook to my life. So that is very much how I chose to come into this life, how I choose to interact with life, how I choose to start my life is a very Capricorn-like way. Okay? So, now, based off of that, you now have, the 12 signs, you have the 10 planets, and you have the 12 houses. So, you have, in your astrology, if you can follow this, which I really hope you did follow, you have the planets of your birth, of the 10 planets, in 12 potential signs, different signs, placed in any of the 12 houses. Okay, so each house, as I said, represents a different area of life. Okay, so, and based off of each planet in that particular house is going to express itself differently. First of all, you have the planet in a sign. Okay, and that's going to express itself uniquely. And then you throw that one planet into a specific house. That's going to add yet another flavor and another area for that energy to express itself. So it's like, okay, for instance, with me, I have an Aquarius moon. Okay, so my moon is trying to express itself in a very Aquarian way. Okay, and it's in the second house. So I have this Aquarius energy with my moon, which I'll explain the planets in a little bit after I'm done with this little basic breakdown here, trying to express itself in a second house or Taurus-like way, or Taurus-like area rather. Okay, so Aquarius moon, so moon in the sign of Aquarius, so moon expressing itself as Aquarius, or moon focusing itself on Aquarius, expressing itself in a Taurus area, or a Taurus focus, or a second house focus. Okay, so that is the basics of astrology. If you want to stop there, you can. It's up to you. In the remainder of this video, I'm going to explain each planet and how each planet represents itself, and how each planet kind of interacts and shapes the entirety of your personality. Okay, so if you enjoyed, I'm just gonna say, if you just stop, if you're gonna stop watching this video now, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. If you're going to continue watching, I love you and I appreciate you. So let's keep going. Okay, so as I said before, there are 10 planets. I'm gonna go over them again, just in case you forgot. Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Okay, so each planet represents 10 different things, and some of them represent multiple things. They have different kind of facets to them as well. So the sun, which most people know in astrology, most people know their sun sign, because that's just what pop astrology is, and modern astrology, it is what it is. So the sun represents the easiest way to understand this is it represents where you want to shine, how you want to shine. I guess I should say how you want to shine, not where you want to shine, because where you want to shine would be the house. If you were following along earlier, it's the house that your sun is in. But the sign your sun is in is how you want to shine. Okay, so let's just do a very easy example. Sun in Leo. Okay, so Sun in Leo is a very exuberant, very animated, very fun, very personable sun sign. So the sun in Leo chose to express itself in a very ego-focused, self-focused, entertaining sort of way. Okay, so the sun chose to shine in a Leo-like way, in everything that Leo kind of encompasses. Okay? So that's the sun. The sun just kind of shows your ego, it shows yourself, it shows like how you choose to express yourself in a very outward manner. But it depends on the astrology. Like everything is very subjective in astrology. Everything is different based off of very, very many different things in your astrology. So that's the sun. The sun is your solar. It is your brightness. What you chose to shine on. What you chose to focus on in this life. Okay. Now the moon. The moon is your emotions. It is your inner nature. The sun is your outer nature. It is your outer expression. The moon is your inner nature, your inner expression, how you deal emotionally. The moon is a very, very important part of your astrology. It is something that most astrologers look at a lot of the time because it has more of a accuracy sometimes than your sun sign does, because the moon changes quicker than the sun does. So you find that you're more attached to your moon sign more so than your sun sign. So anywho, the moon also represents your mother. It represents how you nurture, how you care, how you are with your emotions. Okay, so your emotions, like for instance with me, I have an Aquarius moon. Okay, so my emotions and my way of dealing with my emotions is in a very Aquarian way, which is like the scientist. For a very basic of Aquarius is like the scientist. So they tend to analyze and dissect emotions and really understand them so that they can communicate about them and talk about them, because Aquarius is an air sign. You know, it is one of those signs that likes to communicate. So having that in an emotional sign of the moon, so the moon being in an air sign likes to communicate about emotions. Okay, pretty basic. Okay, Mercury, as you could probably assume, is how you communicate, how you think, how you learn, how you speak. Everything to do with communication and speaking and learning and stuff like that is Mercury. Okay, so I guess I'm just gonna go through my whole chart with you, because why not? Okay, because it's the one I know best. Yay! Okay, so Mercury, I have Mercury in Sagittarius. Okay, so Mercury in Sagittarius is a very positive thinker, is a very motivational speaker, is a very positive outlook, a very positive way of life, philosophical. So Mercury, the way I communicate and the way I think and the way I believe, is very Sagittarian. So it's very big, it's very broad, it's very loud sometimes, you know, it's very humorous. So yeah, so there's that. Okay, so that's Mercury. Venus is what you value. It's how you are in relationships. It's how you are with, like, it's what you want, in a sense. It's what you hold close to you. Similar to the moon, but Venus is more like what you want out of life. In like it's hard to explain this because Venus is like aesthetics and relationships. It's how you are with like people and how you are with like physical things, like how you value physical things and how you value relationships. That's Venus. So for example, I'm gonna stop using my own personal astrology because I don't want to anymore. Because I'm a Scorpio, so I don't like to share my secrets all the time. Anywho, Venus. Let's do Venus in Gemini. Okay, so Venus in Gemini once again, this is another air sign. So Venus is what you value. It's how you are with relationships. It's how you are with other people. It's how you are with physical things and what you value physically, and like aesthetics and style and stuff like that. So having it in Gemini makes you value communication, makes you value words, makes you value books and knowledge and information, and anything that is mercurial, which is what I spoke about before with Mercury. So anything that has to do with learning, communication, words, speaking, anything like that. Venus, you value that. Maybe you value poetry. Maybe you value rap or music or art that is spoken or art that is written, stuff like that. That's a very Venus and Gemini thing. You also like to speak about what you enjoy, because Venus is in a sign of Mercury, so it likes to talk about Venusian things. So it likes to talk about art or talk about what they like about people. It likes to talk. So that's Venus. Okay. Mars is what's next. So Mars is like, it's your drive. It's your drive. It's your passions. It's your motivation. It's what gets you up in the morning. It's what gets you up in the morning. It's what gets you to do what you want to do. It's what gets you motivated. So Mars, it also shows your sex drive as well. It shows your libido and how you are sexually. Venus does as well, but Mars is more like your sexual drive and actual sex. Venus is like your love language. So Mars, let's do Mars in Virgo. Okay, so Mars in Virgo is Mars is choosing to express itself in a Virgo-like way. So Virgo is the sign of the Virgin. It's the sign of perfection. I hate the word perfection, but perfection. So Venus or Mars in Virgo is going to be very detail-oriented. It's going to be very focused on health, because Virgo is a health-based sign. It rules the routines, the body, like the physical. It rules the it rules the physical health. Aries also rules like the physical body, because it rules like the first house. But Virgo rules like the health and the routines and working out and anything that has to do with like a day-to-day routine and has to do with like taking care of your health, like antibiotics or anything like that is very Virgo. So Virgo, Mars in Virgo. Virgo is also the servant. So Mars in Virgo could be very driven to help people, very driven to be of service, be of help. Anything that is like a physical thing, because once again, Virgo is an earth sign. So that's a very grounded, physical, practical sign. So Mars in Virgo makes them very practical, very detail-oriented, very focused on being of service. And their sex drive could be very nitpicky. They could be very particular with their sex and very particular with their sexual partners. But like I said, and I think I've said this enough in this video, but everything in astrology is subjective. So there is other things in your chart that could influence your certain parts of that particular energy to be expressed differently. So just keep that in mind. So, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, those are the 5 personal planets, okay? So those are the ones that change the most quickly, and they are also the ones that impact you the most, okay? Those 5 planets. So that's why they're called your personal planets. So, now we go into the I believe it's called. It's just called. We're just gonna call them generational planets. Okay. So we have Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. I forgot, and I'm gonna update this video in like 2 years again anyway. Though whatever. But Jupiter and Saturn is called something else, and then Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are called something else as well. But we're just gonna call them all generational planets, even though I know that's wrong. I'm sorry, professional astrologers that are watching this. Please don't hate me, and just correct me in the comments below. Yay! So anywho, after those 5 personal planets, you start getting into slower moving planets that change less frequently. So because of that, they're going to have like more they're going to have more longer lasting effects because they go so slowly. They're going to have longer lasting effects, and they're going to also impact you on a deeper level because they are bigger planets. They become bigger, and they become because they're slow moving. Their impacts are long term. They're long term planets. So yeah. So, and like I said, I know Jupiter and Saturn is something different, but I can't remember it right now. And I know that Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are something different as well. But regardless, let's get started on the not personal planets. So Jupiter is naturally ruled by Sagittarius. Jupiter rules your beliefs, and mainly your beliefs, your religion, your way that you are about, like your own personal truth is Sagittarius. Your own personal beliefs, your own what you've gone through that's shaped you into believe how you are is your Jupiter. So it's a very interesting planet. It also rules luck. It rules anywhere that Jupiter is in your chart is kind of like an area of a target that is a little bit bigger, so it's easier for you to hit. It's easier for you to obtain things in that particular sign or particular house that Jupiter is in. So that area is a little bit easier for you. It's a little bit easier to express that sort of energy. But it does also represent overabundance. So there could be an overabundance or an overindulgence in that particular area as well. So make sure you're careful with where your Jupiter is. Okay. So like I said, Jupiter rules your beliefs. It rules religion. It rules foreign, like foreigners, foreign travel, long distance travel, and like foreign trade as well, and doing foreign business. It rules foreign language as well. So it's very interesting. So, for example, let's do Jupiter in Taurus. Okay, so Jupiter in Taurus. Taurus is a very grounded Earth sign. Taurus rules the second house, which rules your finances. It rules your assets. It rules your money. It rules how you make money. So, Jupiter in the second house. Jupiter also rules publishing. So Jupiter in the second house could publish a book, could publish and make quite a lot of money from that book. Jupiter in Taurus doesn't really have much of a struggle sometimes, depending on their chart. If everything was perfect in the world of astrology, which it isn't, depending on their chart, most of the time they don't have much of a struggle with finances, with financial help. They get quite a lot of financial help, and they're able to sustain themselves quite easily. And it's something that is very natural to them, and it's very easy for them. Like I said, it does depend on the rest of the astrology. There's completely different things that can impact it, that can make it difficult for you to obtain money, but overall, Jupiter in Taurus is a very natural sign at obtaining money and obtaining assets and providing for yourself. So that's Jupiter. Also, Jupiter in Taurus, in regards to belief, they could be very slow to believe things because Taurus is a very slow sign. Um, Jupiter and Taurus, they could take quite a while to really follow something and believe in something and like get behind something. It could take them quite a while. So make sure that with the Jupiter and Taurus that you are firm in your beliefs, because you will be firm in your beliefs, but it will kind of take you a little bit longer sometimes. So that's Jupiter. Saturn. Saturn is my favorite planet because it rules my ascendant. So it is my ruler. So Saturn, Saturn rules quite a lot. Okay. Saturn rules time. Saturn rules karma. Saturn rules your career. It rules your father. It rules your public image. It rules your structure. Rules your bones. It rules quite a lot. I think that's the whole list of it. Yeah, that's the whole list of it. Your career, aspirations, your yeah, your career and aspirations and stuff. So Capricorn and Saturn, where you have Saturn in your chart is a very karmic area for you. It rules lessons too. It rules lessons and tests and learning, but learning not in the Sagittarius way or the Mercury way, but in the lessons and hardships and going through struggles. That is a Saturn thing. Saturn tests you, and Saturn wants you to grow stronger because of it. That is what Saturn does. So, having Saturn in a certain sign makes you learn the lessons of that sign and makes you focus on the lessons of that sign so that you really become good at that as time goes on and as you reach your dreaded but beautiful Saturn return. So your Saturn return is a very common term in astrology. So Saturn return is when your Saturn returns to where it natally was, which is natally just means when you were born. So Saturn, when Saturn returns to where it was, it is kind of like a repeat of the lessons that you learned and a kind of culmination and final closing chapter of all the lessons of that entire 360 degrees that it had to go to reach right back to where you were born. Okay, so it's a very karmic planet, and it's very important in astrology because a lot of astrologers really look at it and really put a lot of focus on Saturn, and I put a lot of focus on Saturn because it rules me. So it's very important for me to learn Saturn's lessons and abide by Saturn. So Saturn, let's do Saturn in Scorpio. Okay, so Saturn in Scorpio, as I said, Saturn rules lessons, it rules tests and stuff like that. So Saturn in Scorpio, you are coming into this life to learn about Scorpio-like things. You want to learn about Scorpio and the archetype of Scorpio and all about that. Okay, so Saturn also makes hardships in this area. So Scorpio, as you know, rules sex. Okay, so a very unfortunate thing for a lot of these people with Saturn in Scorpio is sexual trauma. Okay, sexual trauma, sexual abuse, abusive relationships. Saturn in Scorpio has quite a lot of abusive relationships. So it's not really the best sign for Saturn because Scorpio is a very deep, very deep, very intense sign. It's a very transformative sign though as well. So Saturn in Scorpio could have a very strong intuition, a very strong resiliency, and be able to really rise above the circumstances that they were presented with. Because Saturn does make you stronger. Saturn makes you strong in that area that it's in. So Saturn in Scorpio, you could be very good at scorpionic things, so psychology or like really being of help to people and reading into people. Psychology is a very, very common one for Scorpio. Scorpio also rules surgery. Excuse me. So there's that. So you could be a very good surgeon. You could be a very good doctor. Because Scorpio is the alchemist, so it is the one that kind of transforms something into something that it's not, or something that it wasn't rather. So it really takes something, breaks it apart, and transforms it into something brand new. So Saturn and Scorpio, you can really be a very strong person and a very resilient person, and be able to really rise above and make the best of your circumstances. And you could be like a trauma counselor. That's something that's very common for Saturn and Scorpio, or a lot of Scorpio placements, is to help people through trauma and help people through like difficult emotional things, because Scorpio is a very deep emotional sign, so it's very good at understanding deep emotions, so it's very good at helping with deep emotions as well. So Saturn and Scorpio could be very good at that. I kind of went on a little bit of a tangent for that one, so sorry, not sorry. So the next one is Uranus. Okay, we're almost done, just 2 more after this. Okay, so Uranus is naturally ruled by Aquarius, okay? And Uranus is the planet of sudden change, it's the planet of eccentricity, it's the planet of the new age. It rules kind of the area in life for you where you want to break out of the box, where you want to go against the grain, where you want to be different, where you have a different approach. And you want to be innovative and change. You know, that is Uranus expressing itself. So now that we're getting into more like generational planets, these are going to be more, I don't want to say broad, but they don't change as much. So Uranus has been in certain signs for quite a long time. So this has, some people say it's broader, like a broader sort of stroke and a broader sort of expression, because it is such a generational planet, and it really does impact like where we're innovative, where we change, where we choose to be different, you know. So Uranus, let's just do. Let's do Uranus and Sagittarius, because I know a little bit about that one. So Uranus and Sagittarius, I already talked about Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, as I said, it rules like higher religion, or higher learning, religion, foreign cultures, foreign trade, stuff like that. So Uranus is the planet of like sudden change and differences and stuff like that. So Uranus in Sagittarius, during that time period, there could be, and I think there was, I don't know, I don't look that much into like astrology on that much of a level, like with history and stuff. There's astrologers that do look into like history and like the country's natal charts and stuff like that, which is super interesting, but I just don't do that. But anywho, Uranus in Sagittarius can bring about like a new change in thought, a lot of the time, a change in belief, a change in approach to religion, approach to philosophy, approach to like different cultures. And Uranus in Sagittarius is really all about like really bridging the gap between different religions and different cultures. And as the Uranus and Sagittarius generation gets older, they will have that sort of impact, and they'll kind of bring that change about as time goes on, and as they progress and get older and are able to actualize their Uranian energy. So there could be a very, like, this is a lot of the time, this is how like New Age stuff sort of started, whereas Uranus and Sagittarius a little bit before that, but the New Age stuff with like New Thought and the Law of Attraction and stuff like that, that's kind of Uranus and Sagittarius energy, is the new innovative change to your beliefs. Okay, new innovative change, Uranus, to your beliefs, Sagittarius. Okay, so that is Uranus. Okay, Neptune. So as the planets get more far back, they get kind of labeled with more and more themes and more things. So, and they get a little bit harder to explain. And I ironically say this on the planet that is the disillusioned slash always difficult to explain planet, Neptune. So Neptune is the planet of disillusionment. It's the planet it rules quite a lot of things: drugs, mental illness, dreams, astrology, psychics, mediums, ghosts, numerology, God, like a connection to God. Not like Sagittarius where it's religion, but this is more like when like preachers and it's kind of the same thing, but like when they're like being connected to God and feeling it. You know, there's a difference between the Sagittarius energy and the Jupiter energy, which is like believing it and like really believing it, but the Neptune is like more of a living it and experiencing it and having like supernatural experiences. That's sort of like Neptune. Okay, so Neptune is a very supernatural planet. It rules incarceration. It rules drugs, it rules alcohol, it rules addictions, it rules prescriptions, it rules anything that alters your state. It also rules like not foreign travel, but foreign relocation. But it's weird because Sagittarius and the ninth house, which is ruled by Sagittarius, rules foreign travel, which is like going to a foreign country and traveling there, like being there for a couple weeks or a month or so, and then coming back to your home. Okay, Pisces and Neptune rules like going to a place you've never been to before and just living there, like not planning on ever coming back, just literally relocating yourself to like a third world country or just a random country and just disappearing and just immersing yourself in a whole different landscape, different everything. That's Neptune as well. Okay, so Neptune also represents kind of where you disillusion yourself, where you lose touch with reality, because Neptune is a very gaseous planet. It's very hard to. It's made of gas. I mean, they're all kind of made of gas. But Neptune is a very gaseous and like hard to kind of hold on to planet. So because of that, this area of life for whatever Neptune is, wherever Neptune is in your chart, makes it hard for you to grasp that area. Okay, so for this, I think I'm going to do Neptune in Libra. Okay, so Neptune in Libra. Libra rules your relationships. It rules other people. Okay, Aries rules you. Libra is the opposite of that, which rules the opposite. Okay, so Neptune and Libra, they could attract drug addicts. They could attract people that are psychics or mediums. They could attract very psychotic people. Sometimes they could attract people that aren't very healthy. They could also attract dreamers and artists because Neptune also rules art in a very like abstract way. It rules like it's a very, very beautiful planet when it is expressed correctly, but it is also very dangerous if not expressed correctly as well. But yeah, so Neptune is a very difficult planet to grasp. So with this example of Neptune and Libra, they could have difficulty with relationships and difficulty with boundaries in relationships and really seeing the reality of the other person and really seeing what is really going on as opposed to painting their own picture. Because Neptune, especially Neptune and Libra, they like to kind of just see things as this beautiful, romantic, like picture and movie, and they tend to make this up in their mind, and it's not what it is, and they need to kind of reel it in and bring it into reality and ground it some more. So Neptune is the area of life that kind of makes it kind of hard for you to grasp onto. So make sure that you pay attention to your Neptune and figure out where it is that you're disillusioned and not paying attention, and try and bring that into like a more grounded area. Okay, so that's Neptune. So finally, we are almost done. We have Pluto. Okay, so Pluto is ruled by Scorpio. Okay, Pluto is the planet. It represents Hades too, the lord of the underworld. And Pluto is it's a damn planet. It's a really damn planet that grammatically does not make sense, but I do not care. So it rules destruction. It rules atomic power. It rules like personal power. It rules sex. It rules reconstruction. It rules transformation. It rules rebuilding. It rules like death. It rules the other, like the netherworld, the other world, and like it rules quite a lot of things. It rules psychology. It rules like depth, because Scorpio is like the deep. It's the iceberg. You know how there's like this little iceberg on the top, but there's this deep, dark ice on the bottom. That's Pluto. Pluto is that depth that you can't see. So where Pluto is in your chart, it represents sometimes where you self-sabotage, similar to Neptune, but self-sabotage is also like you tend to overexert yourself in that area. Okay, so Pluto destroys things. Pluto starts things anew. You know, it really brings things to ground zero. Pluto is just a very destructive planet. So let's do Pluto in Virgo. Okay, so Pluto in Virgo. My father actually has Pluto in Virgo. So it's a very, I say this about every placement, but it's a very interesting placement. Pluto is the planet of destruction, of power, of like resiliency, and Virgo is the planet of routines, and like health. So Pluto in Virgo, like for instance, my dad, he's like a health nut. He's obsessed with health. Pluto also rules your obsessions. It rules where you're like transfixed and where you're focused on, in a very like psychological obsession sort of way. So Pluto in Virgo can make you a very obsessed person with health, very obsessed with routine, very obsessed with your body. So people like bodybuilders could have Pluto in Virgo. Anyone that really takes care of their health but is obsessed about it, because Pluto, like I said, shows where you're obsessed. So it's a very intense planet. I want to make a video on Pluto later, and I probably will, but it's a very intense planet. I could talk about it for a very long time, and I'm trying not to make this video an hour long, so I'm trying to cut it short, but I have like 5 minutes left, so I'm gonna just end it there. So yeah, that was my video on the basics of astrology. Yeah, so hope you enjoyed. I'm tired because that was like an hour long of talking, which I love doing because I love talking, because you know Mercury in Sagittarius loves to talk. But yeah, I need to go to sleep. Yeah, I need to go to sleep. But yeah, so Anywho, if you like this video, make sure to put a like down below. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. I put out new astrology videos all the time, and I do have a couple series going on right now that I'm working on in my astrology series. Whatever that word is, I don't know. But anywho, I also do spirituality videos as well as language videos in Spanish, Japanese, and French. And I will be doing videos of me playing piano and singing when I do get that all situated and figured out. So yeah, so that is my Basics of Astrology video 2018. Hope you enjoyed. I realized a little bit earlier that I did not talk about aspects, so I will be putting maybe down below, I don't know yet, depends how I'm feeling, but I will be making an aspects video and kind of explaining aspects in astrology as well, because I didn't explain that in this video as well. So just so you know, if you watch to the end, sorry I didn't go over everything, because there's a lot about astrology, and obviously I tried to fit it all into 1 hour, but it's a long video, and people probably didn't watch all of it. But if you did, I love you, and you're great, and you're amazing. So thanks for watching. But yeah, I'm gonna go. You're great. I love you. And make sure to subscribe and check out my other astrology videos. Oh, also, if you want an astrology reading, make sure to comment down below or message me on here, and I will do them. I do video readings. I do Skype readings. I do whatever really you want, and I can read about anything. So yeah, so do that if you're interested. Yeah. I love you guys. I said that for like the 3rd time. I'm gonna go. You're great. Okay, thanks. Bye!